Hey, Aletha, it's Rich Wilson from Learning Services. I just wanted to give you an update on Mastery Connect. And as we move into second quarter, every school has on their school improvement plan to go through this guaranteed three process. And I just wanted to talk through what that process looks like and how you can accomplish this goal. So the first thing is let's recognize what the problem is, right? So to me, there's really three of them. The first one is that there are too many standards in almost every content area. There's too many standards to teach, and more importantly, there are often too many standards for students to be able to learn. And as you all know, that gets us into this time crunch, which is troublesome for everybody. The second thing is that I think we have to recognize that all standards are not created equal. That's why power standards exist. There are standards that carry more weight, either in that current class for some upcoming learning or for a course that comes after the current course, or perhaps a grade level. It also could carry a lot of weight if I might need that in another class. For instance, there may be some math that I need in a science class. Certainly, lots of reading that I need in many content areas. So those are the things that make up what is a power standard. And then the third thing is that we often don't agree, or at least sometimes we don't agree on what those standards are and the ones that carry the most weight. And so Mastery Connect has created this concept of the guaranteed three, which its underlying philosophy and processes are intended to take care of really answering these three questions. Okay, so how does this work? Well, the first thing is please do not take this out of context, which means if you have a unit that's starting soon, this is where you should drop in your guaranteed three. It should not feel like this is outside of your teaching world. We're not gaming it. We don't want teachers just to do it to check it off the list. Actually, in many ways, this is what best practice would be for teaching, is to work through this guaranteed three process. So please just look at your next unit and work from there. Within that next unit, know what the end is. What would mastery of the standards that you're teaching in that unit look like? So what would you want at the end of that unit? What would you want students to be able to know and do? What would that look like? What would it look like for a successful student to have learned that material? And then the third thing here is that we want teacher teams to make these decisions. So that may be teacher teams in the building. It also may be if I'm a singleton and I work with other singletons in other buildings and we do this together. Really important that we have partners in this work. And so the guaranteed three is about three things. It's about focus, it's about attention, and it's about intention. So when you start, you're going to choose those standards which are most important to focus on. So you will teach all of the standards, but you really focus on students learning those standards that carry the most weight. Now, the guaranteed three says there's probably three standards. It may be in your content area that there's two, possibly four. It doesn't really matter. The number is less important than the focus on those most important priority or power standards. The second thing is that we have to give attention to those standards by assessing them more often than the other standards. And after that assessment, we have to make sure that we look at the data and we respond to the data, because the idea is if these are the things that are our focus areas, then we have to make sure that kids are getting it long before they take any end of unit assessment. The last thing is that we have to be intentional. And that means that we want to make sure that every student has the opportunity to hit that mastery level of these standards. Mastery doesn't mean that everybody gets an A. It just means that every student at the end of that unit is ready for the next thing or ready for anything that those standards would be required of. So if you have focus on priority standards, attention to detail by assessing and responding to those results, and you are intentional on working with all students to hit mastery level there, then we are going to be in business. And you will see that the student performance on your end of unit assessments is fantastic. So I'm going to leave you with this. This work is hard. It is really hard, but it is less hard if we will do it together. If we will work together to identify those priority standards, again, 2, 3, 4, that's not that relevant. We want to make sure that we are giving attention to assessing and responding to that. And then we want to be real intentional that we are giving all kids the opportunity to grow and learn.